This is the hour where I am bringing in my friends and my husband, the people who inspire me and who have supported me in this book. And so let's first pop up the introduction of these three friends. So you're going to see Ayesha Mathews-Wadhwa, and you're going to see Christine Arylo, and you're going to see Kat Gordon. I want you to look at that picture for just a moment before we take that down, because you'll notice that I'm wearing the exact same thing in all three of those photos. And that's because these three they're not all friends with each other, but they were all at my 40th birthday. I had a small little party with a small group of friends, and this is where friends start meeting each other. And so they were all at my little birthday party, and it's a privilege that I get to bring them on here tonight together. So I'm going to interview each one of them separately for a moment. And these are people that I'm calling work friends. It's important to know, you can take the picture down and you can bring on, let's bring on Ayesha first. And bring that beautiful woman and for me. Hello, sweetheart.
Hello, Shaz. Congratulations. So excited to be here.
I'm having you go first because you're the one I met first out of the three of you. Oh. And so I'm calling all three of these work friends, but it's important to note that I work for myself in my office. And so none of us have ever shared a company, or we have not shared an office. But we are all friends who met because work was our motivation. And so Ayesha, I want you to share the story of how we became friends and how work motivated that for you.
Yeah, so we met 11 years ago, and when I launched the San Francisco chapter of a women's networking platform, and we had an event coming up. And I remember Dana Lewis introduced us because you were going to do an icebreaker for us called speed friending.
I still do that.
I had heard of speed dating, but I was so intrigued and maybe a tad skeptical. But of course, you were stellar. And, the attendees had come in cold. None of them knew each other. And after the speed friending, we could hardly get the room to to stop talking. The energy had really changed. And I remember being blown away because I'd never heard anyone deconstruct and synthesize the science of friendship as brilliantly as you did.
Oh, well, it was such a privilege to meet you. And we'll just mention, Ayesha is an amazing designer, brand specialist. And you and I would have never met if it hadn't been like we both decided to join a networking organization, basically. Yeah. And we ended up kind of like, it's one thing to have met each other, but then it was years as we kind of built our own friendship and became friends. And I would be curious to know from you how, I want to share with you how being friends with you has impacted my career. I'd be curious to know how you would feel, how we supported each other's career. What difference has it made?
Yeah, well, I think that, honestly, without even the consistency and connection that we've had over the years, we wouldn't have really built the depth of friendship that we have. I think you're one of the few people who's been both my coach and my friend. And I think that's been incredible because sharing that spectrum of vulnerability wouldn't have been possible without just the friendship that you and I have. And then the women's mastermind group that we started together with Christine Bronstein, it might be about 8 or 10 years ago now. I think that was significant in terms of helping, both of us. I benefited from so much, and as a result, my business at that time, and then since then in my career. And you introduced me to some of my closest friends. Out of the top, I think five or six people that I talk to most of the time, the three of them I met through you. So
that's
as far
amazing.
as I'm concerned, you're the friend whisperer.
Oh, I love that. Well, and you could all go on YouTube. I interview Ayesha on a YouTube thing because we started a women's group that we called it 1010 at the time. And it was like we don't want to just do networking where we have to walk into cold rooms and just meet people and hand out business cards. We want to go deeper with a few people where we can support each other's careers. So we invited women we didn't even really know, just women we admired. We kind of brainstormed a list, and we were like, we're looking for amazing women who want to commit to 10 months out of the year to meet us, once a month. And we were going to show up and be cheerleaders for each other. And that really is where I feel like we fell in love with each other. We committed to cheering for each other. We showed up and practiced bragging about our successes and our pride and what we're proud of. And I just have such good memories with you and with our friendship.
Yeah.
And before I go to my next friend, I just want to say to you that from a career perspective, from a personal perspective, I love her and her husband and her son, and we get together all the time with my husband. Well, not all the time. We used to do it way more, and we need to do more frequently of that. But I love you as a personal friend, and as a work friend, I think about how last year when I put out a call saying I'm gathering data for my book.
Yes.
Whose company will bring me in? You were like, I will talk to my manager, and you brought me in, and your organization is represented in the data there of what I shared in the book. And one of the ideas that came out of your group the offsite that I facilitated for your team, I just was talking to a podcaster last week who took an idea from the book that came from you that they've already implemented. And so
Wow.
you've been such a benefit to my career and to the way I think about things. I know I sent my book cover to you for feedback on. So I just want to say thank you for being such a work friend and a personal friend.
It's my pleasure. And I can't wait to read the book. I haven't read it yet, but I will.
Yes. You'll get it. You'll get it in the mail this week. Thank you, babe.
For having me.
Oh, my privilege. All right. I want to introduce you to Kat Gordon. This woman I was lucky enough to see at a socially distanced way recently. Thank you so much for joining me tonight.
Oh, congrats on the book.
Thank you. Kat is the founder of the 3% Conference, which helps bring the point of that was that only 3% of creative directors in advertising were women 10 years ago. And Kat was like, that is not okay. And basically has been a voice for more diversity in advertising, which was a benefit to all of us. And so, Kat, I would love for you to share kind of, it's one thing like we met, but then I want to even focus more on like how we became friends. Like in your version, how do you feel like we became friends?
You know, I was rewinding the tape on that and trying to remember. And I do have this like flashpoint memory of you speaking at our little professional mastermind. And I even remember like you were sitting by the fireplace and like you had the short hair at the time. Like I have this vision of you. And that kind of like feeling in my soul of like, I need this person in my life. Like literally seeing you as an energy and a person I wanted to move closer to. Not just someone that I admire professionally, but like there's just goodness there. And then I remember like you and I both were always up for adventure, and like we went to the TED Women conference together.
Yes.
Do you remember
that? Yes. Oh, totally.
Yeah, and we had to commute down there together, and we shared a hotel. And I remember we were getting dressed the next morning to go to the conference, and I realized I had forgotten, like I had this beautiful sweater and these pants, but I'd forgotten like the blouse to go under it. And so I had to wear like my pajama top. Do you remember that? It was like
I don't remember that.
It was like a black camisole, and I was like, I guess I'm just gonna have to wear this. And it was kind of like a crisis. And you were like, you look smoking. And like, I was like, so it's just like an early indicator that you were up for adventure, that we had similar interests, and that you were someone that was gonna rescue me from my own foibles.
I wear pajamas all the time. That's my daily outfit. So you were good there.
This is pre-COVID where people didn't wear their.
Oh, Kat, I love that. Yeah, again, I feel like it's so interesting to look back on relationships and see kind of like our consistency. We would have not become friends if we hadn't seen each other regularly at a mastermind group. And then you and I were in another group. Like we ended up being a part of a virtual mastermind with Nikki and Patty around, kind of a more national one. And then I remember, I agree with you. I feel like when we went from being work friends to like friends was when we also shared an apartment in New York City for a conference. We kind of started doing some conferences together. Yeah, totally. I feel like it's when we started doing conferences.
Do you remember us running in the rain? Like,
oh yeah, those shoes were toast after that.
But it was like one of those days where kind of like the pajama top, like where things don't go to plan. We couldn't hail a cab. We had to get up to Midtown. We were on the Lower East Side. So we like ran for the subway, and it was raining. And it was just one of those fun memories where I was like, you know what? It's all going to be okay because I'm with Shasta and we're laughing.
Oh, I love that. And I love that now it's very similar to like Ayesha. It's really interesting how it's like a work structure that we end up being work kind of networking people. And then something kind of shifts where it's like you take a relationship kind of goes beyond that and we start doing personal stuff together. And for us, it was spending bigger chunks of time at conferences and being roommates and that kind of stuff. And then there comes a time where it's like, I don't even think of you as a work friend. It's just like now we're just getting together hiking, and we may or may not talk about work, but it's like I just love that our friendship we still like support each other's work lives and careers. And you just recently hired me to come speak at the 3% conference, so it just is a great illustration of how everything we get in life is because of who we know and the amazing people we know and stuff.
So true.
Yeah.
It's so true. I also remember one of the first times that we got together outside of like a work thing. You suggested we meet at like this tea room in Chinatown in San Francisco that like was something like I'd never done, and it was like really cozy, and you knew it, and it was just like different, you know. It wasn't like let's go to Starbucks, you know. It was like let's seek out something different. And I remember thinking, oh, she's got like, you always brought a little extra magic to whatever time.
Oh, well, I adore you. Adore you, adore you, adore you. And so thank you for popping on tonight and being one of my work friends who has just been such a supporter through my whole book process and helping me continue to think things, ideas and titles and covers and all kinds of stuff through. Thanks for being somebody that supported me in all of that.
My pleasure.
Oh, thank you, babe. And I want to introduce you to my third friend that I wanted to highlight tonight in this segment. And this is Christine Arylo. Christine Arylo, darling, beautiful woman. Hello, thank you for joining me. I know that
the sun is setting on the Puget Sound right now, so it's beaming in for our
beautiful. You look gorgeous, and the lighting looks perfect on you. I notice as the live cast is going, or the live stream, I notice the lighting in my room is getting brighter and messed up. You look lovely. So I just wanted to share that Christine and I, again, it's so interesting because it's one thing we met under your husband introduced us. Go Noah.
He did.
And you and I could have and did kind of see each other as competitors, or could have seen each other more as that, and been a little threatened by each other and felt like we were kind of in each other's space a tiny bit. But we ended up staying in touch and being a part of a more regular process. And we've been a part of several different groups together that gave us a lot of consistency, at which point we then ended up becoming friends. Like, I don't think we would if we didn't have something that kind of held us together, a structure. Again, it's a great example. We probably wouldn't have just become friends on our own. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, well, it's funny because my partner Noah you're one of 3 friends he has found for me. So look at him. Remember the day he came home, which, by the way, I have read the book and I so I'm just saying, I got it right here. It's been sitting in my. So Shasta and we've been writing together too the last.
That's what years. I want to get to. Yes,
we're like book babies together, so it feels extra special thinking about friends and work and how our relationship has evolved from the day that Noah came home, which I remember the day I first met you in San Francisco, and we got together to kind of sniff each other out, like, who is she? And, you know, and we were talking the other day.
Who does she think she is?
We were joking. We're like, I think there were 4 people at that wine that day, because Shasta was there and I was there, and then we joke our inner mean girls were there, you know, comparing ourselves to each other. And I think and they're still there. They still show up, even, you know, a decade later. But I think the difference is that we actually tell each other about it.
Yes. Yeah, that's what I want to. That's
right now. My comparison queen could be like, look at what Shasta's doing. She's on Facebook Live. She's doing these amazing things. And, you know, like, what are you doing today, Christine? But it's like, I'm like, just so happy for you to see this. I've just watched you through this whole process. And it just is so, like, my heart is so happy. I woke up today and I just felt so happy for you to see you. You've worked. Is like so devoted to this, and I just I'm gonna get like tears in my eyes because I'm just like so happy for you.
Wow, thank you. And that's one of the things I love about our friendship, that I'm glad you present, because our friendship, I judged you when I first met you and was just like, I don't know, and I felt very threatened by you. You had like the publicity packet and all kinds of stuff, you know, and I think we both have talked about how we've compared ourselves to each other. And so Christine and I we were part of groups and stuff like that. We've done, and we're just good friends now. We do have a monthly date where we get together on the phone every single month for about an hour and a half, sometimes 2 hours. And we talk through like, what can we help each other on in our businesses? What can we do to like help each other be? And what I love about it, Christine, well, so many things. One is I love that the premise is that we want both of us to be successful, which we define as being like the most we are capable of being, like our biggest, best, brightest, purest selves. And so it's like we show up and we don't let each other kind of undermine ourselves. Like the whole premise is, what can I do to help you be better? And it comes with this like really beautiful, and we like get into each other's, like help each other and support each other, give ideas to each other. There's places where you have been ahead of me and you've given me resources and vice versa. And then it was such a joy this last year. We were writing books at the same time. And so, yeah, we've been going through this process together. Tell us about your book. You're coming out in October.
I'm 7 weeks behind you, so I'm still pregnant, I guess. But my book, Overwhelmed and Over It, is coming out in October. And they're so connected, right? I mean, so much of the burnout and the overwhelm comes because we don't have support. I mean, there's a whole, like, that's a huge piece. And I see it both I see it for all people. I see it for women. I see it in Noah, and we were just talking about this morning for him, how he just doesn't have the community that he desires. And so I think, I don't know, I lost my train of thought because I'm just so excited to be here because I can't believe it's actually the book's birthday. Yeah. So what was the question?
I just wanted to share what your book title was. You're perfect.
I remember being at your last book party, and I remember the toast he gave, and Ayesha, and I was actually in the 2020 with you. Oh, I know what you asked about. I remember it was 2015, and I think I invited you to say, hey, Shasta, what if we met once a month? And we just met, we call it a Femimind. And the thing and you said yes. And so we've been doing that. So I had to put the invitation out there. It was a little vulnerable for me, you all, because my relationships with blonde women have not traditionally always gone very well. But Shasta,
I'm getting darker during COVID, if that helps.
Well, you've always been a source of light. And I think part of the thing of why is that in those Femiminds, it's not just about we're there to like celebrate each other, which is true, but we're also able to be really real with each other. And some days we do show up and we're like, I just need to go, wah, and I have to just be real with the struggle. And I think that's a piece that's really important in friendships that are real and meaningful, is that person, and you sure do this for me, you can hold them in their amazingness without it like undermining who you are, and use it as a way to inspire you. But you can also hold them when they're in their like down places, when we have doubt, or when, you and I are like, does this really matter? Like we're working, giving so much, like all of that stuff that comes up. And it's like, you don't stay stuck there, but there's like a way we hold each other and that full spectrum that I think is really powerful and different, without having to help each other or make it better. Like we're not here to fix each other.
Yep. No, we each get to bring what's one thing that we want the other person's feedback on or help in. But yeah, it's there to just kind of support each other. And it's been so validating, and it is such a vulnerable place to be with you. And I'm so grateful. You're somebody who holds all of that so well. I get off every phone call with you and usually go for a walk with Greg afterwards. And almost every time I'm just like, and then she helped me see this in my life, or then she said this, and it just was like, oh my goodness, is that true? And like, you just call out the very best of me. And I'm so, 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 so grateful. And I can't wait for your book to come out and we can take pictures together of our books.
That sounds good. It's a date.
That's awesome. Well, Phil, if you wouldn't mind bringing all three of those girls back on the screen at the same time, I just want to take a picture. Somebody take a screenshot. Is Kat still on? Yep. And so these are 3 examples of women who have been amazing supporters of mine in my work, who I'm a better person because of them. And I love each one of them just without even work. Like you could all quit your jobs and I still want to be your friends and still be connected to all of you. So thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, Shasta. Happy birthday.
Happy book, baby.
Oh, thank you. And if you want, you can stick around for the very end for the toast. I would love to have you back on at the very end, but understand if you've got to go too. So I hope you enjoyed seeing those 3. Oh, and Deneen, she's one of my other really, really good friends. I'm glad her comment came up there. she's another amazing friend of mine. And so that's awesome that you get to see her and that sweet, beautiful woman. Thank you, Deneen. So all three of those are women that I did practice consistency. You kept hearing me say, like, it was part of a decision to like be a part of consistency. I would have not become friends with them, not because they weren't amazing women or because I wasn't capable of it or all those things. It was that we had to make a commitment to show up in the same place consistently, which allowed us to then be vulnerable and get to know each other, which then ended up helping us support each other. And so I hope those were inspirational examples for those of us who work from home right now, whose company might not be conducive to helping build relationships. Those are examples of groups that one of us started, we initiated, we put that into place. We reached out, extended invitations, and set up that consistency. And I really would say that one of my favorite examples of how you can build consistency in some other like work friends would be using the discussion guides that I wrote up for the business of friendship. I wrote up one that's meant for you to kind of the traditional book club where it's like, here's this one time you can get together and talk about the book, which is awesome. And I don't mean to give a stink eye to that, but my favorite book guide is the one where I wrote it up for 4 times together, because I figure if I can get you together talking about portions of the book 4 times, we're building consistency and giving you more time together. And so those book guides are at thebusinessoffriendship.com. For everybody who pre-orders the book, you can have access to those guides, and you could set up your own virtual or in-person book club where it gives you a chance to basically not only build deeper friendships with some people, but you're kind of training them how to be a good friend too. And you're talking about friendships and getting to know each other, which is so beautiful and so important. So hopefully that will be a resource that you can use that will help you create an Ayesha, Kat, or Christine in your own life. So love those women.